Welcome to the Strategic Oracle, the transmission space where timing meets soul and wealth begins with the rhythm. Let's begin. Here we are at the new moon, October 21st, 8:25 a.m. Eastern Time, and the sun and the moon kiss in the sign of Libra at 28 degrees. 28 is a 1 in numerology, and so it's new beginnings. This is a breath. As I look at the stars in the sky and the shapes that they form, it's a sea of blue of support. So there's some excitement, some stirring up, and then there's some relief and some ease and some harmony. There are two meetings. One is that sun and the moon. That moon basically loses herself to the sun. There's no light that she's reflecting. She gets absorbed. Or you can think of it, the sun gets absorbed by the moon. They blend together. It's called a conjunction in astrology. And I like to call it the kiss, because they kiss each other and they're so swept up with each other. There's no end, there's no beginning. And in the sign of Libra, Libra is you and me. And how do we meet? And how do we come together? And how do I still retain the fullness of myself when I am with you? How do I not lose myself? How do I not overcompromise what is so important to me? How do I see you in your wholeness and your fullness without projecting myself onto you? And so there we have that first blending, that first kiss. Then the other one that we have is with Mercury and Mars. They're in Scorpio. They're at 20 degrees. There's a wisdom here. The 2 is the priestess wisdom, the feminine. Scorpio, feminine, deep, mysterious, so incredibly powerful. Nothing but power with Scorpio. And so you have the mental thoughts, the quick-witting trickster of Mercury. He has so many things to say, and he wants to say it all the time, and he just doesn't stop talking. A little bit like a child, like the chatter, right? But they have Mars. Mars is no joke. Mr. Powerhouse, Mr. Warrior, Mr. Bodybuilder, right? You've got the big, huge bodybuilder, and then you think of Mercury as this little teeny tiny, little speck, basically trying to get the bodybuilder's attention, right? Bodybuilders lifting weights. And then there's Mercury like, okay, I'll jump on the weight. You can see me because I'll be there dancing on your weight. That's literally what this energy is like. And yet, Mercury is the messenger for all the planets. And so Mercury has so many things to say. And Mercury is the stirrer. Mercury is the one that runs around and flicks all the planets and it's like, or taps them and says, hey, hi, here I am. And then the planet looks. The planet always looks at Mercury, always pays attention to Mercury. That's Mercury's power. Everybody pays attention to him. Even though he's this little teeny tiny planet, everybody pays attention to him. And so Mars, okay, what? Okay, what are we doing together? Mercury whispers in Mars' ears. And Mars says, okay. So this is where thoughts become things. And in Scorpio, powerful, huge, life-changing things. And yet, it's simply a new moon. So there's a dichotomy here. There's a range here that super simple, quick, but yet incredibly powerful. And we have this awash of blue where things are incredibly supportive. The only things that are this minor tension, one of them involves Jupiter. And anytime Jupiter is involved, there's good luck and blessings, and it just feels really good. And Pluto's marginally involved, if I can say that about Pluto, right? Because we've come up and we've done things with Pluto and we're kind of on the other side of that. Doesn't mean that's not coming up again. It's just not going to be in the new moon category when the sun and the moon do have these essences with Pluto that are a little bit stronger. So Pluto is in Aquarius at the beginning, and the sun and the moon are at the end of Libra. But there's where the harmony is. They're both air signs. So there is a meeting there. And with that scorpionic energy with the Mars and the Mercury, we're already meeting the power. So Pluto just comes along and says, you know what, I just want to remind you, I really just love in my heart, I just want to remind you that you're stepping into your future. That's always happening. So don't forget. Yes, you can take rest. Yes, you can have ease. Yes, you can have support. But don't always forget. I'm here for the next 20 years and your future's calling you. But I just wanted to remind you. And so we have that beautiful supportive triangle too. And then we have this luscious energy between Jupiter and Saturn that's coming to be that is just so incredibly helpful that we get this amazing, we had a kickoff of energy on that solstice of 2020 between Saturn and Jupiter. And now, after those wranglings of 2021 and 2022, which were so irritating, by the way, now we have this harmony that's coming to be that's going to be carrying us into 2026. And it just feels so good. And it's in water signs. So we've got that Piscean return for Saturn for the next few months. And then we have Jupiter, who happens to be in Cancer since the end of June and going to be here until the end of June next year. And so, there's Jupiter just saying, how is your heart open? How much love do you have inside of you? How do you want to express it? How do you want it to be in your world? How do you want to make it bigger? And it's finance too, because it's Cancer. So how do you want to create the value in your life? And then you have Saturn saying, oh, wait, I know, I can be super helpful. I have all these structures over here. I have these systems here. I know these people over here. I can make these connections. And oh, did you see these rooms? Saturn is absolutely helpful in this case. Yay, because it's been a really long time. And so this new moon, yay, new beginnings. We have the thoughts become things. We have how are you together and in whole in relationship. We've got Jupiter saying yes. We've got Saturn saying yes. We basically have the stars saying yes to the yes. And it's so rare that we could say that. And so where do I end and where do I begin? The really question with this is, where do I want to end and where do I want to begin? So I'm going to go into the signatures now. This helps you map out energies. And so the wise strategist, how are you getting ready for the changes? This is one energy, new beginnings. How are you getting ready? How are you preparing yourself? You like to know that you're firmly footed. I'm not saying it's a big, huge time of preparation. It's just like, ask yourself the question, how am I getting ready for these changes that are coming? And then for the intuitive visionary, how are you conveying the pattern that you've been seeing and how do you stir its potency with others? Collaborative explorers, do what you want to do without any thought for anyone else. That's a big one. Ruling warrior, this is really where the you and others comes in. So how do you want to do things alone and yet how do you want to do things with others? Who do you want to let in, whether it's business or personal or fun or finance? Stir that. Creative superstar, say the thing that you've been meaning to say. Say it the way you want to, when you want to, how you want to, and where you want to. And then loving alchemist, let your wisdom be seen and heard and felt. Now, when we stir these stars and we stir these energies, we know that there's this earthly component, and that's how we make it happen in the world. And so when we think about what October has been all about, October has been about showing up, being visible, allowing yourself to fill your cup first before you fill others' cups. That's been the theme for the entire month. And here we are entering the third week. We've got the footing of it now. We are going to be entering Scorpio in just another day or two. So we're wondering, we've gotten the Libra energy for the last, it will be 30 days and just 2 days. So we're at the 28th day, hence the 28 degree. So how do we want to take that buoyancy, that fluidity, that beautiful harmonious flow of Libra into Scorpio? What would be really helpful? If we think of earthly matter, we can think of magical tools like the ones that we introduced for the entire month, that beautiful crystal of lepidolite, which helps give clarity to direction, the prosperity oracle that we can imprint for our greater wealth, abundance, and money. We can think of red chestnut, which helps rid ourselves of caring what other people think and feel about us. And then we have the rabbit, which is the Chinese animal of 2026 and prosperity itself. And we can say, those are the magical tools. What are the practical things that we can do? We'll be doing ritual in a minute, so that's also magical, so we can add power to that, so that's awesome. But practically, what do we want to have for our steps from a practical perspective? What about some awareness of what is really working and what is not really working? How about if we take 10 minutes and go for a walk, or at the magical, I call it the magical box, the shower, where all epiphanies happen, right? Why don't we take that and why don't we ask, like, without us thinking over much about this, what is really working and what is not? Just see what comes to you. Just notice for the next day or so. And then when you see those things coming that are like, ooh, those are really working for me, then ask the question, okay, how can these work for me? Think about, is it my future? Is it to make me more of myself? Is it to help me show up and be more visible? Is it to help me achieve my goals? Is it to help me get ready for 2026? All those things can be true. Or maybe it's one or the other, but it gives you more information about what it is you want to do with it and how you want to set the priority of it. And then for those things that aren't yours, ask, how can I rid myself of this in the easiest manner? With grace and ease. See what happens with that. I simply adore that sometimes you just kick something down the road and then it resolves itself. I love that. Maybe that's the case for some of these things that are going to be on your list. We're not picking 100 things. There's like 2 or 3 things in each one of these categories. Those things that aren't working. Maybe someone then cancels plans with you. Maybe something doesn't materialize in the same way. Or maybe you get that nudge of, oh, guess what? I need to leave this scenario. And you take the steps to do that. Now is a really great time to do that. These stars are so incredibly helpful for that. Asking these very practical questions in very practical ways to get practical answers. And then all you're doing is observing. Because remember, we have Mercury and Mars together. Mercury is about what are you thinking, what conversations do you have, what connections are you making. Mars is what actions are you taking. Here we go. Just fed right into that. And because it's Libra, it's going to be you and other. So it's not you in isolation. It's just not. And we get a great, huge bounty when we start setting up things for our greatest trajectory. Because we are our own inhibitors, right? When we say yes, but when we say, oh, this is what I want, and yet none of the steps you take on a daily basis actually get you there. Or you know that something is really right for you, but there's hangers on in some areas, and we just don't have the wherewithal to say it, to speak it. We can be so incredibly kind. I've been having lots of conversations over the last week about being nice versus being kind. This is kind energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be nice. It doesn't mean you're going to be an ass. It just means that you're going to choose yourself. And you can say, this is not in the flow for me any longer. This no longer fits into my business plan. I am taking steps to get ready for 2026. I am realigning myself. This is what is going to happen. And you're just going to lead the way. And again, you can be incredibly kind. That's Libra. Libra's incredibly kind. Okay. So with all of this information stirring, I guess that's the word today, stirring. So all this information stirring, we're going to let it stir around us. And we're going to go into this beautiful energy of the cosmos. We're going to lovingly tuck ourselves into the earth. Even if you're driving, you can still feel your feet. So if you're driving, just let the energy soak in. If you're not, you can close your eyes. You can feel your feet. I want you to feel them kind of tingling and the focus coming to them, and you're drawing that energy down. There's a weightlessness with new moons, so we want to really feel this energy of like the earth. So you feel your feet and your legs and your hips and your belly and your chest cavity. You feel your breath in your body, and you feel your shoulders. You feel your skin hanging on your bones. You feel your arms hanging. You feel your elbows. You feel your wrists. You feel your hands. You can bring your attention to your hands. Beautiful manifestation. Chakras in the palm of your hands. You can take a sigh because this energy feels like there's a gravitational pull that feels heavy but not too heavy. It feels beautifully embodying. Get the essence of you here in the world. As you bring your attention back up to your shoulders, to your neck, to your jawline, to your cheekbones, to your ears, to behind your ears, to your skull, to your forehead, to your eye sockets. This is you here, fully embodied. Bring our attention back to our breath. And we take a moment to picture the night sky. There's no color, there's no light with that sun and the moon, but yet we can see the stars if it's a clear night. And so in our mind's eye, it's always a clear night. So we can envision that the crispness, the brilliance of the stars. Here in the northern hemisphere, it's getting crisper out. There's a snap in the air. In the southern hemisphere, there's this beautiful, that gorgeous opening where the air becomes warmer. It becomes wider. I always feel like each cell of the air, if I can say that, each molecule becomes like weighted with a little bit of liquid, so it becomes heavy, but it becomes soft and dewy. Where here in the northern, they become tighter, it becomes snappier. But yet, as we look up through the air molecules, right, they're clear. And as we breathe them in our mind's eye, we can see the brilliance of the stars, because under a new moon, they're brilliant. And we can wish upon a star. So pick one. Pick a star to look at. Could be Orion. Could be Cassiopeia. Could be any star. Sirius. Just wish. You can draw on that Lepidia light for clarity. That red chestnut for letting go of overcare about others. Putting ourselves first in a beautifully enlightened way. You can envision that prosperity card with the fertility of a rabbit. There's growth. It's super easy and fun and frolicky. As we wish upon a star, let's drink it in. Let's let its brilliance match ours. Let's let its originality shine ours out into the world. Let's let this star help us show up. Let's use its light to create a spotlight for us. Just open up, throwing our heads back, our neck wide open, the elongation of our neck, clearing our throat chakra. So now I can speak and utter and sing and say. Bring that energy down into the heart. So now I can vibrate and resonate and pulse. Bring it down into the chest cavity, down into that diaphragm, into that solar plexus. Now I can let the tempo and the frequency and the rhythm and cadence call upon my people. Bringing it down into that belly, into the sacral, into the root, into that left hip and the right hip for the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Let it be in that beautiful balanced flow of Libra. You and me, together and apart simultaneously. For I am me and you are you. And together we are more. And yet we don't lose ourselves at all. Bring the energy down through the root into the earth for that activation of the Mars energy. Energy becomes action. Yes. And then seeing Mercury in our mind's eye. Please. Observance, perception, intuition, conversation, connection, brilliance. Here we are back to that brilliant star. Yes. We open ourselves up to the yes of this beautiful new moon of new beginnings. And our future is here now. And with that, if we've closed our eyes, we open them. We give great gratitude to the sun, the moon, all the stars in the sky, the heavens, the earth, to the snap in the air of that beautiful melting warmth. We thank all of the crystalline and the flower energy that came in. We thank all of the people who have been in our lives and all the situations. And when we're ready to let go, we thank the ease that that can happen. And when we're ready to draw forth, we thank the clarity and the clear pathways that are also illuminated. With this new moon, this gorgeous October, we say yes to showing up. And with great gratitude, we feel our feet and our hands and our shoulders and our jaw lines. Whew, take a deep breath in and we say happy, happy, happy new moon. And as always, thank you so much for listening and importantly, sharing with friends so that we can have this beautiful ripple effect of that gorgeous power being rippled out into the earth through its people and through our connections. And happy, happy soul tidings. You've been listening to the Strategic Oracle, where success isn't scaled from speed, but from soul. If this stirred something real, follow it. Apply for activation, enter the vault, or pause right here. Integration is leadership too. Because the truth is, you were never meant to chase the timing. You are meant to become it.